Hi there again, gentlemen. Greetings from Spain. I'm very happy to be here again with you once again in this newest webinar related to Edibon technologies for mobility based on hydrogen. This is a very interesting one, and it's the first time we perform something or Edibon Technologies teaching units related to mobility, and of course, based on hydrogen. In the next hour, I am discussing a little bit, explain you a little bit. As always, we always have new people join us. We have many people connected in this moment. Some of you I already know, but many others or some others, it's the first time they attend this kind of event. So I always need to introduce something about the company, SCADA Technologies, SCADA Expansions, which I call accessories. We will understand this a little more. And then we will see how Edibon can collaborate with its teaching units in mobility based on hydrogen. Okay, so let's move forward. My name is Francisco, and at Edibon, I'm responsible for developing new business in Portuguese-speaking countries, but I'm also in charge of few others that speak English, Spanish, and so on. Okay, but mostly for Portuguese-speaking countries. Right, let's see what we have here. Before starting anything, I want to say that Edibon is an independent, autonomous, and very flexible company. This is a company that was born 4 decades ago in the late 70s to a need identified by that time by our founder, Mr. Elias Bonilla, which is the gap between what is taught in technical centers, universities, engineering colleges, and what really requires the market. Unfortunately, until these days, and this technical gap will always exist just because technical centers or centers cannot or simply cannot follow the market at the same level of development or technical development. That will always be, this gap will always exist among what's being taught and what the market really requires. Okay, the idea of an Edibon teaching unit is reduce this gap, and by offering the most modern and technology existing in the market in terms of technical or teaching units or advanced research equipment. Okay, so by being totally independent, we have our own design, our own manufacturing, our own quality control. This means everything is done in-house. Edibon simply does not subcontract any kind of labor force, neither any equipment or unit. It's true that, of course, elements, components for manufacturing that unit that has been designed, we go to the market for getting that. But the main unit is totally developed, designed, and manufactured in-house. This is very, very important, okay? Of course, our own, Edibon is in charge of our own installation and training. We can send our engineers to the end customer to not only install the equipment, but also give the specific training for the key people involved in that purchase, that key people that's going to use the equipment or will multiply the knowledge inside the end customer. Okay. On the other hand, Edibon also have some collaboration with our representatives in your country, for example, in order to make them able to provide that installation and training as well. Okay, which means a local face, which is much better to the end customer instead of handling everything abroad. Following this, our own after sales service. Okay, there are two kinds of warranties in Edibon. Every single unit sold comes along or has a 5-year warranty or from factory. This means every single, if you purchase a unit today, that a 5-year warranty will come along that the unit purchased it. And just along with this, Edibon also offer a 5-year after sales service. This means any component that is updated or replaced, or of course we are talking about improvements, Edibon will make available that element, that component, whatever that is, for the next 15 years. That means your equipment, your unit will not get obsolete in the next 15 years. Edibon make those components available for purchasing if them interests you. All right, good. Edibon divides, spreads, or has basically 9 line of business. Okay, you can see from this graph that our main share is day-to-day business. This is when the end customer has these are small or medium businesses that when the end customer has already money to spend in acquisitions, or is asking us a budgetary quotation for asking some funds to the university, to the technical center, to sponsors, to who is going to finance that equipment to be acquired. Okay, projects are medium and large businesses where they sponsor. The institution that gives the money is international organizations like the World Bank, African Development Bank. From the bilateral side is JICA from Japan, KOICA from Korea, and many others. Okay, I can send you, if you are interested, a list of this organization, which I always encourage our representatives to look for in this place, seek for some information in order to know what kind of funds are available for sponsoring technical education at any level. Okay, it's you may get surprised of funds available for technical education in any field or any level of that. All right, just seek for this information if that interests you. Okay, complete laboratories, we also provide that in terms of consultancy, technical education turnkey projects. This in the moment is a little freeze because differently from the projects, in this case, the donor, not the donor, but the sponsor or the person that's giving funds in this is the Spanish government. This is possible. It's possible to have this, but it's quite difficult just because the Spanish government in this money is asking a lot of, not insurance, but guarantees in order to honor that that financing that will eventually be provided. Okay, differently from projects, funds comes from the Spanish government, but in this moment I consider that frozen. Just let's wait until this pandemic season ends, and then we'll see what happens on this. We can also, let's talk about customer-made units and pilot plants. In the last couple of years, Edibon has been or has became has become actually very specialized by designing and manufacture custom-made units and pilot plants. We are in the next few months or weeks, I'm not sure about that, but my colleague Fernando, which will be forming the same webinar this afternoon in Spanish, has total knowledge and is in charge of these pilot plants here and at Edibon. So I know that 3 new pilot plants will be delivered. Really not sure about the countries. I guess one of them is Belgium, but not sure. I will not get into much details on that. The one I'm sure is we had delivered one for Ireland. Ireland, in general terms, is a very important beer producer in the world scenario. So they ordered a specific pilot plant for improving the end product, which is beer. The idea is, or was, by understanding the process of producing beer, they intended or they wanted to improve everything they can in the process, of course, in order to have a better end product. And they are very happy about that. That has been a success, let's say that. Okay. Another kind of business line, it's our technical distance learning ECL, which is a platform for technical distance learning. This is highly recommended for massive technical distance learning. If you have 300, 500, 1,000 students, many campuses, this kind of technology would be very interesting for you. We really do not recommend it for 30, 50 students once the investment in the beginning is quite high. This is the reason why it's for massive purposes in terms of technical distance learning. You can operate units, it doesn't matter where you are, okay? If this kind of technology interests you, just come back to me and or to us actually. I have left our contact details in our chat. Please interact with us if you have any specific question, and we will answer this by the end of the presentation, okay? Although I prefer handle this by having a new video conference and explaining or giving 100% attention to your case, all right? This is how I deal with my stuff. Good. We have just some examples here for prestigious customers. We have Harvard University, the MIT, Charles Darwin University in Australia, few others here. It doesn't mean we don't have, as Edibon sells or are in 150 countries or 150 countries plus countries in the world. We have supplier for the main important ones in the world. If there is an important university in the countries we are at, we have pretty sure sold to that university eventually. Okay, good to hear. Okay, from the quality certificates perspective or certifications, Edibon has the most important ones available for international tenders or for anything that the end customer or representatives require for in terms of submitting quality certificates or international certifications. All right, if you need this, just ask us. Okay, these are the 14 areas that Edibon worked on. Although they are only 14 here, they are subdivided in many others. For example, the area 5, energy, renewable energy sub area is inside the number 5 energy. So you will not find renewable energies here, but we'll find it inside the number 5 energy. So if you take a look to our website, which I strongly recommend, www.edibon.com, at the right bottom side of the page, seek for product, and then it will display a list of these technical areas we have available. You see that are some subdivisions there. You can easily find what is inside them. Okay, so we have physics, electronics, huge area, communications, electricity. This is something amazing, the quantity of units we have available in this field or in this area. Energy, as I said, you can find very interesting things about this, especially on renewable energies. Number 6 is mechatronics, automation and compo mechatronics. Mechanics is number 7, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics and thermotechnics. Number 10 is process control. 11, chemical engineering. Then food and water technology. Lots of requests these days on this, or the last couple of years on this, especially for Africa, Asia, Africa, South America, some countries that really need to get developed, need to get industrialized. They have come to us looking for technical solutions in this field, food and water technology, environment as well, and the last one, biomedical engineering. Okay? Feel free to take a look on this very carefully and see what kind of equipment, teaching equipment or research equipment fits what you have been looking for along 2022. Okay, let's see a little bit about SCADA, the difference between a manual unit, which is the market, what the market knows, and what's the difference compared to a SCADA computer controlled unit. Sorry to say that, but from the technological perspective, Edibon considers a manual unit something obsolete. Once it really do not offer anything to the market anymore. Today we have automated industry, production lines being run by SCADA, by PLC, by PID, or the 4.0 industry. Concepts related to that, automation, computing, mechatronics, everything is highly technically operating these days. And this is the kind of equipment we intend to offer when we talk about SCADA computer control units. By using this technology, students or teacher do not touch, only in special cases when you need to open a valve or something like this, you touch the unit. The units, everything is made or controlled by using the computer. Okay, I call a SCADA unit a set of elements. You can see here the units, sensors and actuators that are inside the unit, control interface and software, which I consider the brain and the heart of the unit, and the data acquisition board that comes inside the CPU. Okay, let's take a look on this. I have nothing to say about the unit, because for me, the unit, what you know as equipment, this is just a body without a soul. What really matters here is our sensor and actuators, which will interchange or actually send inputs and outputs to the control interface that will reach the user. So this is how the unit or the equipment will understand what it needs to do. according to the control, to the comment that has been done by the students or the teacher. All right. So sensors and actuators is what really matters, and they are inside the unit itself. Okay. Control interface. This is one of the most important elements in this. Edibon has spent a lot of time by developing, improving, and try to reach the level we have today. Today, our control interface has absolutely no interference and or outer interference or inner interference once it transmits in real time a pure information from the unit or from the user that's performing or making practical exercises to the computer. Okay, you can get some more information about control interface once you get this presentation in the next couple of days, as well this video recorded, and then every single SCADA equipment catalog has some more information about any SCADA element. Okay, just take a look on that. Otherwise, just come to us and then we can explain this a little more in details. Do not worry if you do not get everything. The idea here of this kind of event is giving you a commercial perspective, is make available to you what kind of technology or technical options we have available in that area or in this specific event today. For example, in case of mobility associated or related to hydrogen. Okay, very good. Let's go to the next then. Let's see what we have here. Software along with the control interface. This is what really surprises me or impress me. This is the real contact that the students or professor will have with the equipment. If you are interested in knowing what is a SCADA software phase, just go to any SCADA equipment catalog. There we will find a print of the corresponding SCADA software for that unit. And you see, you can handle parameters, you can change information on the screen, and that will go directly through the interface or the control interface to the equipment in real time. All right, it's very interesting. The difference is you do not touch the unit anymore. You use, for controlling the unit, you use your computer or laptop or tablet or your mobile, any kind of device connected to internet. All right. The software is basically 42 different ones. Each unit has 42 different ones divided into these 4 groups. And one very interesting thing about SCADA software, usually they leave our factory in English or Spanish language, but as they are designed and manufactured in-house, as I said before, we are able to provide SCADA software in any language. For example, in Africa, there are a lot of countries, if not all, that has local languages, if Asia as well. So Edibon is able to provide this package of software or software package in any language in the world or available in the world today. Of course, that will have a price increase on this for translation, but anyway, I recommend you receive them in English just because of it's a matter of speaking worldwide, something to someone. But we can do that if you are interested too. Okay, and everything is done in-house. Data acquisition board. This is one of foundational instruments, and it goes into the CPU and has amazingly or is able to process and record 250,000 information per second or 200 kilosamples per second. This means every single second, 250,000 information are being recorded to be get later or anytime you want by using a manual equipment. That's not possible. Another advantage for having a SCADA computer controlled unit, or consider purchasing a SCADA computer controlled unit. Okay, we have yesterday I made a quotation for a specific countries, and the price for a manual unit were around 4,500 euros, and the SCADA option was 5,500. In other words, $1,000 more for having, in this case, 20%, something like this. Doesn't really matter. Just to show you, but our SCADA computer control units, the end pricing can vary from 15, 25, 30, 50, sometimes even 100% more. But you have to understand what you are getting by acquiring this kind of technology. Please, consider this. Do not say no before evaluate our SCADA technical options. Okay, of course, related to teaching equipment. I forgot to say this, but what exactly Edibon does? We design and manufacture teaching and research equipment, which has the purpose is using this kind of equipment for technical education purposes, okay? And in labs, at universities, in faculties, or any kind of technical center, be that vocational or professional. Few things in secondary, we are not that strong because you are stronger from the top to the bottom. We have many different units. SCADA, for example, have around 1,000 SCADA units, all of them for engineering and TVET. Okay, if you are related to this, get in touch with us, because we really have some interesting solutions for that. Okay, we have already spoken about that. Good. These are expansions. That's what we call here. But for you to understand that a little bit, it's nothing more than accessories that work along the main unit, and they are divided into these 4 groups: industrial, pedagogical, multi-post expansions, I like this a lot, and advanced research. This is not, expansions do not work along manual units because they need SCADA for working along too. All right, one more reason for acquiring an equipment that features SCADA. I also forgot to say what SCADA is, because I have assumed everyone that's attending this meeting knows exactly what SCADA is. SCADA is not something that Edibon has invented. SCADA is an industrial concept that means supervision, control, and data acquisition of industrial processes. We brought this concept to our equipment late in the 70s or beginning of the 80s. So we have that for quite a long time. And the idea was bringing the same technology used in the industry. All right. The more the use of these accessories or these expansions, the closer process simulations will be to the real industry. Pay a very close attention to this. Sometimes I call this an SCADA equipment is like a transformer. You have the main unit, but you can start adding this kind of accessories and have and improve the performance of the main units. I always like to make some analogies comparing something. Imagine you have a car which has a limited velocity, for example. Then you acquire a turbo for that car. The idea of this accessory turbo is increase the end velocity or the speed of the car. In other words, improving the performance of the car. This kind of accessory do the same when they work along with the main unit, and they depend on the main unit. Okay, so just get some more information. I will not go into details on this, and I will tell you why. Because you have every single one explained here when you get your presentation. Okay, FSS, the fault simulation system, for example, it explains exactly what that means, and we have many units that has this kind of expansions. Everything is in the unit catalog. If you go to the unit catalog by searching for keywords or the equipment reference or any kind of information you may have for areas, for example, if you go to the catalog, it's very rich of information, has a lot of information, and there you will find to which kind of expansions or accessory the main unit work with. Okay, so very well detailed here, so you don't need to worry about that. I will not spend some time on this just in order to not get boring the presentation, but sorry about that. You can have this easily this information in an easy way if you go to the catalog. All right, so let's talk about hydrogen as an energy vector. I suppose some of you, or this I'm just supposing that, are somehow connected to the hydrogen technologies in the market. We are in this moment an electric car, which was some decades ago. Actually, the electric car they exist since from the 20s, but we'll not get in there to not polemize that or anything related to that. But in fact, what we know as electric cars, it's already a fact, because you can see many of them biofuels or hybrid cars, electric cars. And the next step, the next level of that is any kind of transport based on hydrogen technology. In other words, I mean, in the future, and this is a fact, in the future, maybe there is hydrogen will be the main fuel to be used for mobility and including for houses. They will replace, for example, the liquefied petroleum gas in residences, in houses. This is the idea. All right. There is a very huge concern. Let's move ahead on this. Let's change just in order to know that. There is a very high concern here in Europe by having up to 250, 100% of the houses or the vehicles run by using hydrogen. This is a very ambitious plan, but one very interesting thing about Europe is when they plan something, they make all the efforts that that thing happens in that time. All right. By the end, by 2030, the idea is combining this LPG or the liquefied petroleum gas in 80% and working along 20% of hydrogen supply in houses. This is what is expected until 2050, we have that completely changed by using only hydrogen, okay? Which is, I draw attention for you, which is the most abundant element in the universe. Once it comes from hydrogen. So we will not have 70% of the universe is based on or is made of hydrogen. So from the raw material perspective, from the element perspective, this is not, it's an element or a substance or whatever you want to call that will not disappear. So what we need to do is process that element, that substance, that product, or whatever you want to call. The future of energy, like this presentation says, will pass through the use of hydrogen as fuel. And when I say transportation mobility, I'm also including planes. Planes will run by using hydrogen eventually. Sometime in the future, that will happen for sure. All right? Good. Let's see what we have here. I will not get into much details on this, how we extract that through the nuclear fusion and things like this. Fernando is more detailed on that in this afternoon, but the idea here is give you an overview and how our technical solutions close the completely cycle for generating or of the green hydrogen that comes from renewable sources. This is the idea, okay? Good. Whatever we have, before we move that, let's move ahead. Okay, all right. Current situation of the hydrogen as fuel. So at the moment, they have, I've already explained this, there is a good intention, expectation of having this 100% implemented by 2015. Let's hope that happens until 2050 in order to have that. There are three kinds of or hydrogen is divided into three types: gray, blue, and green hydrogen. The last one is the one that Edibon intends to focus, as this comes from renewable energies, okay? The idea here is giving you options for having as end product or a green hydrogen which has zero emission or is free of emission, whatever you want to call this, instead of blue or green hydrogen, which we have during the process, we have there some kind of emission related to the process. But at Edibon, we want to focus exactly on the green hydrogen with the technology for clean hydrogen, free of any emission or 100% clean. All right, good. Let's move them. Okay, hydrogen, it's quite interesting because hydrogen is is not only the most abundant element in the universe, but also is a costless element. This means it's free. It's free. What we need to do is get ready in terms of infrastructure and capability of process things, and then we get ready for using it. The idea here, or the governments and in Europe, they are concerned about this. How we get something that is available there free. We process this in order to work in favor of us, which is in this case having vehicles or mobility by using hydrogen cells, for example, or hydrogen as a main fuel in this case, or the only fuel in this case. Once in the future, you simply go, there will be a moment in the future. What you know today of as gas station, that will be simply a station. So you park your car in a station and you fill in the tank of your car with hydrogen. If that will work along another fuel, I don't know, maybe anything that comes from petroleum or other kind of energy, electrical energy, for example, or electric power, let's say that, okay? It doesn't really matter because your car will be smart enough to separate this and work differently according to the fuel that is charged in that moment. All right, good. Let's move ahead. What we have here: Edibon technologies for mobility based on hydrogen. And what exactly Edibon has available to show you that may interest you if you are somehow related to this area. If you are not, start getting some more information because this is going to happen. Eventually, this is going to happen. We do not know if that will be 10 years, 20, 30, or even more, but be sure this is going to happen, okay? Before I go to this, let me go to the end of the presentation. Then I show you the complete cycle of green hydrogen, okay? We have, as I said before, Edibon units or Edibon has a complete equipment, technical equipment for close the complete cycle of green hydrogen, okay? And that start by using a teaching equipment for renewable energy. Usually they are the photovoltaic one or wind power. They the most common ones, but you can use, I was talking yesterday to a country that actually they are in the Caribbean region, and they are surrounded by sea. And also, this means they have a lot of water to be offered as an element or a force element. I mean, as force or power force. The water is the element that runs a turbine or anything. You can get a mechanical force by using marine energy, for example, among others, okay? Because they have sun the whole year. In that country, winds a lot, so there are many renewable sources they can get power from. This is the reason why, or we recommended just for example, these two ones for photovoltaic and wind power ones, but could be any one that generates in the end a renewable kind of source. All right. Then we have, after processing this is teaching equipment, but imagine it the same in an industrial size example. All right. Then we get electricity. By collecting this renewable source, we have electricity, and through a electrolyzer, which electrolysis will be the process to have this hydrogen separated. When we get this, not the information, but what we have and was collected by using renewable sources. And we have, after this chemical process, electrolysis, we have the green hydrogen we need. Once this came from renewable sources, we have that in pure state to be stored in our hydrogen cells, okay? Which we also have this equipment available to you. Then, of course, you use another kind of motors, or of teaching unit motors, for example, to process this information that simulated a car in the end. It's the same concept, the same idea, okay? This is the complete cycle of green hydrogen closed. And Edibon has all these teaching units available to have this complete cycle of green hydrogen available to you. Okay, just get in contact, get more information. Let's see how we can work together, especially if you are related to hydrogen mobility somehow. Okay, this is just some of the equipment I told you before, the one for photovoltaic applications. This is another one for wind power. You can choose both. The name in this presentation, you have the name of the equipment, and by having this, you simply go to our catalog or their catalog at our web page and get some more information about this. This is a complete set of elements, or a complete unit for having everything you need for studying renewable energy in these cases, or having all the information you need, or simulating the complete process of renewable energies available to these kind of types, photovoltaic and wind power. Okay, after this, after getting some electricity, or before I go to that, let's talk about a little bit about storage and transportation. In the end, when you have some green hydrogen or clean hydrogen processed or as pure element, it can be easily stored and transported. So what we need, or what the industry need, is just store them just like they store any other kind of element. For example, today you store gasoline, diesel. In Brazil, for example, place I come from, we also use another kind of fuel that comes from forgot the name now in English, but it really doesn't matter. Really forgot that, but really doesn't matter. The important is it's another alternative fuel that we work along with diesel and gasoline, or and so on. That's it. And they are easily stored. Today, you can do the same with the hydrogen, all right? As I said before, you go to a station and just fill in your tank by using the same pump, which contains or has stored there hydrogen instead of other fuel options, all right? Good. This is, we will need, after having this energy processed, we will need hydrogen cells for storage inside the car. This hydrogen, which is fed by the hydrogen tank, they go then to the hydrogen fuel cells. Which equipment is this? EC6C. Just take a look on this. You understand a little more how this fuel cell works The catalog will give much more information about that. I encourage you to go to each one and understand the complete cycle carefully, all right? So you get much more information. As getting into details of this, it's not the purpose of this presentation. So, and after having this fuel cells stored with hydrogen, we need a propulsion system for moving the car. And by receiving this hydrogen, which is stored in these fuel cells, we make the real mobility. In this case, we make it through any physical, chemical, and any kind of process involved in this, in mobility, in the concept of mobility. You can use at the end this kind of equipment to understand a little more. This is the last step of the complete cycle of clean hydrogen. So it's quite simple. It's quite simple, and Edibon has all these teaching units available for understanding the green hydrogen cycle in order to be or work on the future students that the market will need or the industry will need. By the same time that governments are very concerned about having this plan implemented until 2015, simultaneously that technical centers, universities, engineering colleges, or any kind of technical institution must be ready, must be accredited in order to start preparing this kind of future professional that the market will need in a short time. We are not talking about 2030. We need them in the next couple of years. Okay, this is very this is in an embryonic phase in terms of technical education, but the fact is this is going to happen in a moment. And what you that belong to a technical institution, you have the responsibility for making able those students or get them prepared to the market. I'm pretty sure from the accreditation perspective, in Portugal, this has been increasing a lot, just like Spain. Spain, Spain is connected, all the country is connected with by train. But there are some places that electricity do not reach the lines. So we have in these places which has no energy for moving the trains, they have another source in the moment. These are the places that hydrogen mobility for trains will start first. Once they need to invest some money, they will invest that in the correct technology by using a proper technology related to green hydrogen. Okay, this is what's going to happen in Spain. All right, good, and a few other countries in Europe as well. Okay, we have seen that. Let's see what we have, gentlemen, available in our chat. Just a moment. Let's see what kind of questions are left here. Request idea. Just a moment. Let me take a look on this and see what kind of questions we have here. Fernando, my colleague, has answered already some of them. But anyway, Let's see this.
See, Francisco, there are some questions here now in the chat.
Okay, Fernando, can you do? You can access that easily than me. Do you have any specific on one once you have been following this? Is there any specific you would like to discuss? Two or three, maybe? Maybe the most.
Yes, no problem at all. For instance, there are some questions about how safe are hydrogen cells for institutes, and it is easy to respond. The hydrogen cells are really safety units, no problem. The tanks for hydrogen is the question, but now, according the rules, the safety rules in all the world, the hydrogen tanks are absolute safety, more than safety. There are no problem at all. Absolutely more safety than petrol, for instance. You can take a petrol in plastic tank, and really it's a little bit dangerous if something happens. But the hydrogen always is included in the very strong and safety, and obviously is necessary quality control for the tank. So there are absolutely no problem. In any case, for institute hydrogen cells, they are very small hydrogen cells, so the quantity of hydrogen is really low. In this case, the electrolyzer is preparing a small cells for hydrogen, very small with very low quantity of hydrogen, so there are no any problem. It's absolute safety, no problem at all. It are absolutely designed to use with the students in institutes, no problem. Another thing is when you are talking about big production of hydrogen, that suppose a very big tanks. As in any case, for the teaching application, you are using very small tanks and very safety. With safety valves, if something happens, indeed there are things with that kind of tanks using under fire, there are no problem. Once happen, the valves is open, the hydrogen is outside. But in any case, no any problem for institutes to use the hydrogen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Fernando. I'm pretty sure it's safe. They are always concerned about their safety. And I take this opportunity to say that our teaching equipment are absolutely, from the safety perspective, they live one. Or I mean, safety is one of our concern in this. So there is one of our manuals is absolutely or completely related to that, to equipment, not the equipment safety, but the safety in general, especially for those who are using the equipment. Okay, so Edibon will not introduce in the market anything that's not approved from the safety perspective, for example. All right. Is there any question there, Fernando, that we can discuss?
Yes, maybe there is another interesting question. Maybe is a general topic because if some question is more specific, we will answer a specific question for any of the attenders. But in any case, this question I think is very interesting because our pilot plan for the hydrogen is designed according the consume of the system. So our photovoltaic system and our wind load, our generator are designed to produce the quantity of electricity according the electrolyzer unit. That's supposed because the electrolyzer is very low consume, and obviously the quantity of hydrogen is very small. So with the photovoltaic panels and wind generator is more than enough to produce the electricity used in the electrolyzer to produce the hydrogen according the needs of the test. Okay, as you can see in the picture, there's a big tank, but obviously the system is not using that big tank. The big tank is, it's a warehouse of the hydrogen, but the system is ready to use a small cells that use the electrolyzer. That electrolyzer, as you can see in the picture, is generating hydrogen, and this hydrogen is included in a very, very small cell tanks, and that cell tank are used in the hydrogen cell. So the quantity is very, very small, enough to make any practice or any exercise. So with our photovoltaic panels and our generators, wind generators, is enough to generate the electricity. So all the system is designed according the demand of hydrogen and demand of electricity in the system.
Yeah. Okay, Fernando, this is a very good explanation. I forgot to say that Edibon is working on a pilot plan related to mobility based on hydrogen. In this moment, we have the equipment, the isolated equipment, each one sold separately. But the idea is having this kind of technology or this purpose, mobility based on hydrogen, in a pilot plant that we can sell this as a single equipment in the end, and then you can have the complete cycle of producing this or having this green or clean hydrogen in one or in just one equipment, to say that. Okay, I really would like you to, we are going to have many video conferences on this. I also take this opportunity to tell you, independently where you are, if you understand Spanish, Fernando this afternoon at 5 p.m. Spanish time is going to perform this very same webinar, but is in Spanish and his mother language, of course. And despite that, he is at Edibon, is a reference in this kind of field. So I strongly suggest to you, if you are interested in this, just let us know by sending us an email to edibon@edibon.com, so we can send you the invitation for this afternoon webinar. I'm not sure if Webinar Jam is able to provide subtitles. I'm really not sure about that. But get this information, otherwise you have to understand Spanish. But I really, if I were you, I would see this again this afternoon, once this is another way to see the same information, especially because it's given in the mother language of the explanation. All right, so gentlemen, ladies, from my side, that's all for the moment, but I do expect some information from our side, some contact from our side. If you are somehow related to hydrogen mobility at your technical center, at your university, if you are trying to get in this field, if this matter interests you, or you intend to give this or move this internally in your university by having a lab of hydrogen or technology based on hydrogen, just contact us. Let's work on your requirements, understand your expectations. We can work together either by providing these units separately or by working on a specific pilot plan related to hydrogen mobility. Okay, from my side, that's all, gentlemen. Just get in touch with us. Just as I said, if you are interested in see this webinar again this afternoon, let us know in order to send the invitation. Otherwise, contact us for more details related to hydrogen mobility. Let's get prepared for what's coming in the near future. Okay, that's it, ladies, gentlemen. Thanks for attending this meeting. I see you next time again. All right, see you. Bye bye.